So a very good evening to everyone and welcome to the session on economics, where we are going to learn precisely three things today. Number one is the changing trend of UPSC related to especially economics in GS paper 3 as well as in prelims. And number two, in this changing trend, what should be our method of preparation so that we are able to extract the best out of the preparation in a minimum time. At the same time, we should not compromise the quality so as to get good result at every stage of the exam. That's the second. And the third, in our economics module, what is our plan for this year? At the same time, one of the best things that I want to bring today in front of you, not to flaunt, but just to give you that confidence with a sense of happiness that I'm going to show you what we did last year in economics module and how we have performed so far in prelims and mains. So because assessment is very important whenever you prepare for these kind of big exams, one should always keep an eye over what we did from our side and what was the expectation of UPSC and did we stand up to the expectation. Chest thumping is very bad because it may be possible that 1 year you're getting all the questions out of a preparation and for next 5 years you get nothing. So one should never indulge in that, but one should always introspect and see if the line of preparation that we adopted was the right line or not. So in that spirit, let us start the session and let us see how economics plays a big role in the UPSC preparation and the changing pattern. So if I have to show you very basic data, which I'm sure that all of you who is either preparing or have already prepared for the exam, you must be aware with it. So I'm going to show you something very important from here. This will give you a great idea about what economics is doing for us in UPSC prelims, right? And a very good evening to all of you who have just joined. So now guys, see carefully. So which are the subjects that we need to prepare for UPSC prelims? First is we prepare the economy as a whole, then polity, geography, environment, science, tech, history, culture, IR, and miscellaneous current affairs. In this part, the economy part, we also include agriculture. So, and plus government schemes, etc. So if you look at the last 10 years trend, which means that if you look at what has happened in UPSC in last 10 years, and why 10 years is important, because rule of statistics, that when your sample size is big, you tend to get better results. When you take a small sample, you might get biased results. So always take good number of years, 10 years, 12 years, something like that. So now if you look at 10 years, this is the average number of questions asked in UPSC from these subjects. This is a 10-year average. So, for example, there might be one or two questions which are debatable that somebody might say it is from geography, somebody might say it's from environment. So these things might happen, but majorly this is the division. So the average number of questions from, let's say, IR. Look at IR playing such a big role from almost negligible in prelims to 6 questions on an average. I would say a huge jump. Then you have history and culture, average 16. It can go up to 20, 25 as well. Then you have science and technology. See, this year it was around 18, 19 somewhere. But on an average, because earlier the weightage given to science and tech was not as high as these days. So average is slightly low only. Environment, 9 questions were asked, 10 questions. But on an average, you see huge number of questions were asked. And I think this will bounce back. So 14 questions, geography 13. So if you add geography and environment, it becomes 27, which is a very good number of questions. Now, if you look at polity, average number of questions 14, it has been very consistent. The beauty of polity is it has always been consistent in UPSC, and without polity, it's almost next to impossible to crack the exam. Because being a policy maker, you should be aware of the polity, the constitution, the administration, how the government runs. So that's why it's important. Now let's come to economics. See there. In economics, if you look carefully, the average number of questions is 19.9. You can do your calculation, you will find it to be around 19.9, which is 20 questions. Now, mind you that these 20 questions on an average, which you see, is also there, which is on the lower side because of this 15 questions which were asked this year. So this year it went slightly down and the number of science questions increased. That is the reason that you see that average is thoda down. Otherwise, the average is normally around 22 to 25. So despite the fact that this year, the number of questions were slightly lower, which is normally not the case, despite that, this has the highest average, which means that on any given day, you can expect a very substantial number of questions in UPSC from economics. Not only that, something else is very important. If you understand the Indian economy and how the economic system works, understanding newspaper is super easy. Understanding the relationship between resource management, which is economics part, and polity, governance, it becomes so easy. That is the reason that this subject cannot be ignored. Now, a major part of your career, when you become an IS officer, you're going to spend a major part of your career in implementation of the schemes, which means, again, there also you have to do resource management, proper targeting, you have to use new techniques so that with limited resources, maximum social and economic impact can be generated. When you become a senior IS officer, one of the tasks that you are going to do for this country is going to frame the policy. And when you frame policies, government will again give you limited resources and tell you that with this limited resource, you have to frame so many multiple policies for different sectors, which means everything boils down to one part, which is that we should know how economic system works and how there is an integration between polity and economy. So that is the reason that this subject is of huge importance. In a standalone manner, definitely important, but when you look at other subjects, this subject, economics, helps you to understand even polity. So that is the reason that, preparation should be done in a wholesome manner, but I would still say that there are some subjects which cannot be neglected, economics being one of those subjects. Now let's come back. I'm going to show you something interesting which happens in mains normally. So when you go to GS paper 3, see what do you find in GS paper 3, just to give you a basic idea. So on an average, every year you will see that from economics and agriculture, roughly 10 questions on an average. Sometimes it can be 11, sometimes it can be 9, but on an average 10. From science and technology, roughly 4. From disaster management, roughly 3. Internal security, 3. It can become 4 also. It can become 4 also. So if one subject increases, other goes down a little bit. Normally, this is the trend that 10 plus 4, 14 plus 3, 17 plus 3, 20. So if there is a change of 1 or 2 questions here and there, some adjustments might happen. But largely, this is the idea. Which means that normally we can expect that from the economy part and the agriculture part, we are going to get roughly 10 questions. Now, let me show you the story of these 10 questions for this year. So, first of all, what is there in the syllabus of economy for prelims and what is there in the syllabus for mains? That's the most interesting part. When you look at the prelim syllabus, the UPSC only says that anything which is of social and economic importance, that is there in the syllabus of prelims related to economy part. So anything which is important from the perspective of society and from the perspective of economy, UPSC says for prelims it is important. So literally UPSC is saying that almost anything which you feel is happening around you related to economy, in not a very depth manner, but to some extent you should be aware of what is happening as a policymaker, as an officer. So the syllabus is not very precisely defined for prelims. Literally they can ask you anything and everything under the sun. Now, when it comes to mains, there are certain guidelines provided, which is slightly more precise. So let me tell you what is there in the mains part. This I usually tell in all my workshops, because this should act like your guiding principle for the preparation of mains GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4. We have seen what has happened this year. We have seen GS paper 1 mains, GS 2 and GS 3, and then all of a sudden we saw GS 4, and it reminded us of prelims also. So why does UPSC do that? And what are the things that UPSC is expecting from us? So when you read this, bacho, see, let's read it quickly, just to have an idea. It says main examination, and this is the original notification of UPSC. So UPSC says the main examination is intended to assess the overall intellectual trait. Wow. So which means that they want to see intellectual trait and depth of understanding of the candidate rather than merely the range of information and memory. So UPSC says they are looking for something intellectual in you. They're not only looking for information and memory. So even if you are writing less data, less fact, that's fine. But your intellectual ability, which means the ability to argue, ability to bring logic on the table, and ability to substantiate what you're saying with examples, case studies, these are the things that UPSC wants to see. Which means UPSC wants a thinking mind. A thinking mind is a mind which works on the basis of logic and deductions. So that is why they prefer to have logical mind. And they're saying that we need little bit of depth is required, which means shallow answers, shallow understanding is not going to help. So if we are taking shortcuts, and if you feel that in any subject, it's not about economy, in any subject, if you're taking too much of shortcuts, now the danger in that will be expectation of UPSC is this, and if you're taking shortcut will remain here. There will always be a gap. And if that gap remains in major subjects, it can create trouble in the exam. So that is the reason that we have to be very careful about what UPSC wants. Let us see the next part, which is more interesting. See, the nature and standard of the questions in general studies, paper 2 to 4, will be such that well-educated person will be able to answer them without specialized study, which means that the general studies questions do not require optional level knowledge and information. So which means that they will definitely go up to certain depth, but they will not go up to optional level understanding or PhD level understanding, clearly mentioned by UPSC. Which means that even if you are PhD, for example, in a subject, let's say geography, and you are writing a general studies answer, it's better not to become too technical in answer writing, because the name is general studies, not specialized studies. So we have to be very careful about these things. And this becomes our guiding principle when we conduct classes related to economy in our module and any other class for that matter. Now look at this part. This is important. It says questions will be such as to test the candidate's general awareness. Again, the word general awareness of a variety of subjects, which means that your dimension needs to be good. Very decent dimension has to be there, which will have relevance for a career in civil services. Anything which is connected to policy making, implementation, and administration, anything which is happening around you related to this becomes a syllabus. That's the part they are saying. Next is the questions are likely to test candidates' basic understanding of relevant issues and ability to analyze. The key word here is analyze, that you must be able to analyze the things in the right perspective and take a view on conflicting socio-economic goals. Is reservation required or not required? Conflicting views are there, and UPSC says, I will test you in conflicting views, because that will show me how logically you can argue whether you can apply constitution, social justice, and the ideas that the country stands for. That is the reason that they will test you there. Now, and they're saying that you should write relevant things, meaningful things in the exam. This is largely the idea. So, if I were you and I were preparing for the exams, I'll make a list of these words and I would try to put these words in my mind forever till the time I'm preparing, so that it keeps guiding me that, okay, what is the extent to which I have to prepare for this exam? So see carefully, assessment has to be done. So you have to learn the art of assessment. Then they're looking for intellectual traits. As I told you, logical mind, thinking mind, you have to substantiate your points. Then some bit of depth is also required, which means shallow answers, generic answers will not be rewarded. Then they're not just testing memory, and they're saying that we are not looking for specialized knowledge, but we are not testing general memory. We are looking for relevant stuff from you. So if they're asking you a question, for example, let's say like this year, they asked a question on startups, and they said that what are the challenges faced by India in startups? Now, when you're writing challenges, you can't write things like startups don't have money. This is a very generic point. You have to write specifically. What is that money that startup is looking for? From where are we getting the money? And currently, what is the problem? So, for example, a lot of money in startup comes from China, called as venture capital. So you have to substantiate by saying that majority of the money comes there, but because of global issues, the money which comes from Singapore, US, China has been a problem for us. Domestic sources of finances are not very developed. So these are the things that we have to write. Now, relevance for civil services, which is whatever you study, whatever you write in the exam must have some relevance for the exam. You have to be very analytical in the mind. For example, if you're writing any answer, like this year, they asked a question related to nutrition. You have to be very analytical and then argue that what exactly is the problem in nutrition? Does gender play a problem in nutrition of India? Does lack of information play a problem? These are the things that you also have to write. And how to use, for example, digital India to solve the problem of malnutrition and health. How can you improve the results when you digitize things? These are also the things that you write. Now, if there is any conflicting topic where opinion is divided, so don't shun those things. Don't say that, oh, there is divided opinion, so I don't want to touch this topic. No, you are going to be a policymaker of this country. Not only implement, but you're going to create policies. From you only, the country gets the best brains in terms of policymaking, be it the RBI governor, be it the chief economic advisor. Such great things will be offered to you in terms of the platform by the government of India. So you can't really pull your hands out and say, I'm not going to participate. So it's better to embrace the fact that the country is diverse. There will be diverse opinions. Your job is to find out that what is that path that I take so that I can create a balance in this conflicting atmosphere and take the country progressive manner. So that is what we have to do. So That is why these conflicting socio-economic issues must also be tackled. So these are some of the basic things which I always feel that any UPSC aspirant who is preparing for the exam, they must be aware of this. Now comes the most important part, which is going to really help you and it's going to give you an idea about how the preparation of the exam should actually be done. And if you follow a certain way of preparation, I'm not saying that there is only one way to prepare, but I'm saying that one of the good ways, efficient ways to prepare is to start with the syllabus. And what is the advantage of having a syllabus in hand? I'll show you. And you're going to be so happy when you see what has happened this year because of the syllabus. So see, this is your GS paper 3, the economy part and the agriculture part. Now, this is the syllabus. What I have done is in this syllabus, I have made a few boxes. See, this is a box. What is written in the box? It is written in the box, yes, the word is inclusive growth, as you can see. But just keep focusing on the words. Number 2 is energy. Just keep focusing. Cropping patterns, which means that in India, we grow only one type of crop after Green Revolution. We have not gone for diversification. And you understand, when you grow only one type of crop, it will extract the same nutrient and it will lead to imbalance in nutrients. Just say when you prepare for UPSC, suppose whole day you are preparing subject for 1 year, what will happen? Your preparation will not be balanced. The same thing has happened to India. So again, this is important. Then you have agricultural marketing. And then you have indirect and direct farm subsidies. And then you have technological mission. And then there is something called as liberalization and its effect on the economy post 1991. So anything which is happening in India after 1991 is included here. All these terms. Now let us see something interesting, which definitely is going to bring smile on your face. UPSC GS paper 3 mains 2026. Let us read the questions. Digital rupee, post-1991 development in banking. Financial inclusion, it is a part of inclusive growth. When you say, I have to grow in an inclusive manner, financial inclusion is a part. Technology mission, okay, we have seen that word. Agri-produce marketing, agricultural marketing, wow, nice. Startups. Startups were developed to promote industries after 1991, post-LPG. But look at this. Government policies implemented for crop diversification. Okay, so which means cropping pattern, the faults in cropping pattern, how to correct them, crop diversification. And there you go, subsidies in agriculture, directly taken from syllabus. So if I only count the areas which were directly taken from the syllabus, let's say this one is not directly mentioned. So I'm not counting this. I'm counting only the direct ones, the ones which are put in box, which is directly mentioned in the syllabus. So if I count that, 10 questions were asked from economy and agriculture again. Out of these 10 questions, if you see carefully, the 7 questions which were asked, those words are directly mentioned in the syllabus, which I have shown you. 3 questions were such that it is not directly mentioned, but indirectly it is a part of post-1991, which is post-LPG reforms. Everything from the syllabus, which means that it's not something very odd in UPSC. They stick to syllabus many times. Sometimes they go a little deep. Sometimes they will ask more current affairs. But largely in mains, you will see that they follow this trend. And again, the testimony of this claim that I'm making, that UPSC does refer to the syllabus, is the fact that it has been proved again in this year's UPSC mains, which happened just 2 days back, that, okay, we are getting some questions from the exam. Now, let's look at something else which I want to show you, which will bring some perspective to your preparation. So, Bacho, has it happened many a times that when you start to prepare a subject, people tell you that you should have a macro syllabus, you should have a micro syllabus. People tell us about a lot of things, that we should have details of what we have to study, right? But how to create those details, that's the big point. And sometimes I have seen that people will mention a topic like agriculture. Then they will give you 200 small points and tell you, prepare this is micro syllabus. To some extent, it's a decent idea. I won't say it's a bad idea, because different people, different methods of preparation. There is no sure shot formula of success. But what if we have a better efficient manner or efficient method to prepare for UPSC, which is slightly more efficient compared to the generic method that we adopt, like listing 200 words and saying it is micro syllabus, versus identifying micro themes, because every theme can have multiple words. So take a big area like agriculture, divide it into micro themes, and within each theme there can be multiple words. This would be a better way to do. I'll demonstrate this through an example to you. But first, let me tell you that in our economics module, what actually do we do? So in my module, what I do is last year, what I did is I divided the module into these many parts. So there are these 17 topics which I teach, 17 important themes. The 17th one is called miscellaneous, which is current affairs. Anything which develops during the course of module or current affairs, it comes in the 17th part. So the 17th part is huge chunk. It's mostly current. These are the areas which I teach. Now, there is something interesting which I want to show you. Why do we feel that these 17 areas are good enough for the exam? Well, from where are we getting that confidence? Ye confidence kahan se aa raha hai? How do we feel that if we follow this strategy, it's going to help us? As I told you in the beginning, that one should never indulge into chest thumping and say that, okay, this is my claim, I have done this, I have done that. It doesn't help. But assessment is important. Assessment gives you an idea about the direction that you are taking. This is what we did last year. And I want to show you how it helped us in the mains exam this year. I want to show you. So see this, please. I'm going to show you exactly what we studied in the economics module last year with the notes and the handouts. And I'm going to show you the exact question. Obviously, there cannot be a 100% match, but if the match is 90%, 95%, it means that if you're writing UPSC exam and you have studied exactly 95% of what is being asked, then the speed in the exam increases and your efficiency improves. You feel more confident about the exam. Let me show you how. Read this question, please. It says, how are startups in India promoting entrepreneurship, innovation, and employment? Which means that you have to argue that what is the contribution of startups in these three areas, which means some qualitative statement is to be written that they create self-employment plus wage employment. And you also have to write some facts and data. Just say there are roughly 2 lakh startups in India. They generate employment of roughly around 15 lakhs. These are the kind of things that you have to write. And 10% of our startup are deep tech. Deep tech means who are deeply into technology. So these are some of the facts you should write. Read this. So first part is absolutely current affairs. It's nothing but current affairs. Read the second part. Discuss the global and domestic challenge in their working and suggest suitable measures. So we have to discuss the challenge and we have to discuss the measures, how to improve. But they are asking both global and domestic. So for example, global challenge could be that from the world, now technology is not coming that easy, money is not coming that easy because of geopolitical disturbances. And what is the problem in the domestic economy? Maybe we are not able to support the startup the way they should be supported. How do I know that? Because if we have 2 lakh startups in India which are registered, there are also 40 to 50,000 startups which failed. So every year, thousands of startups fail. Before they see their first anniversary, they fail. Which means as a country, we need to support them a little more. So we have to write all these things. Now let's see if we covered these things on our module. These are the standard notes that we do in our economics module and classes. Read the question, bacho. This is the question which we did. Discuss the challenges faced by Indian startups, suggest some steps to strengthen them. And that's the answer that we did in the class. Which means that if you keep your basics tight, and if you do not become lazy, and if you put your 100% in the subject, it is possible that we can prepare ourselves so well that when the exam comes and we are writing mains, we don't have to struggle in the examination hall, and few things should always be there in the mind. This is one example. So that gives you confidence that it is possible that through these topics, you can definitely prepare for the exam. Let me show you the second question. Let's see. The second question is, explain the factors responsible for inefficiency of agri-produce marketing. So they're asking that what are the challenges in the agricultural produce marketing in India? Let's see our notes. The current challenges related to APMC Mandi system agriculture markets in India. This is what you have to write. Now the next question says that, how e-commerce helps, which means that you have to write about the Amazons, the Flipkarts, the eNAM that the government of India has introduced, national eNAM. So all these things you have to write, which is mentioned here. But if you read the question carefully, it says, what are the factors responsible for inefficiency? How can you write the factors responsible for inefficiency unless you explain what is happening in India? What is the current model? So the current model is this model. So in UPSC, you have to draw a simplified diagram, something like this, because you can see the diagram is not complicated. I've just used some boxes. If you don't want to draw these stick diagrams, there is no problem. You can simply write the name. But this flowchart, this diagram is the key. And then you have to explain the working, and then you have to say that, okay, because of this model of agriculture marketing, these are the challenges. So they are not specifically asking you the model, but without model, you cannot write the challenge. So had we done this? Yeah, we had done this. These are notes, simple. Now, look at the next question. The next question says, examine the view that financial inclusion is an integral part of social and economic inclusion. Throw a light on usefulness of RBI Inclusion Index. The notes were big, so I couldn't bring the entire thing, but I want to show you. See, this is how we did. What is the meaning of financial inclusion and significance of financial inclusion in promoting socio-economic strength of the country? This is the part which you had to write. So again, and mind you, when you write a mains answer, you cannot write big, large volume. You have to be very careful and very wise with the uses of words, because UPSC does not give us the liberty to write too much. So again, yes, these kind of questions can be prepared beforehand also. Look at this, please. Question number 1 of UPSC this year. It says, what do you mean by digital rupee? In this context, explain the working and progress of India's CBDC. So what are the keywords? First is meaning. The second is working and progress. Let's see our notes, if we used to cover it in the class or not. That's the meaning, that's the working, and that's your progress. So which means that, yes, we followed a very conventional method of preparation without doing too much experiments, and we can answer these questions in the exam with a lot of comfort. So which shows only one thing, that if you do extensive studies and if you follow a certain way of studies, it is possible to largely answer most of the questions. Like, see, this is a question related to agriculture subsidy and role of WTO. That's your notes. This is agriculture subsidy, direct and indirect, and this is the role of WTO. That's your answer. Similarly, there are other things, and I don't want to waste your time in showing this, but I just wanted to give you that confidence that is there a way that you can prepare efficiently without wasting time, so that when you see the question paper in the exam, your reaction time should be very less and you should be able to bring out the best inside you. Yes, there is a way. There is only one thing which is required when you attend these kind of lectures like module, etc. The only one thing which is required from your side is trust and faith, and number 2, extreme hard work. If you are ready to put your best, and if you follow these kind of advices and the structure of the content, there is no power on this planet which can stop you from doing well in the exam. And mind you, if you are getting 20 questions, out of that, let's say 5 questions are slightly typical, which you are not able to handle. But if there are 10, 11 questions which you are easily able to handle, imagine the kind of comfort, confidence, and the time that you save in the exam. This will really help you to ace those other 5 questions also. So that is one of the ways. Now, let me tell you what exactly do we cover in the class. So there are 2-3 things that we do in the class. I told you it's not a rocket science. It's a combination of static plus current plus a lot of hard work from your side and a lot of hard work from our side. It's a combined effort. Now, what do? We start our lectures with NCERTs. But then I want to tell you something. Aajkal, are you hearing this news that a lot of people are falling sick due to flu? Especially the swine flu is there in Delhi, change of weather, and a lot of people are suffering from viral fever and all. So if you ask anybody who is consuming medicine, that what medicine are they having? So mostly they will tell you that antibiotics for sure. So normally whenever you fall sick, infection happens, you take antibiotics. Now, along with antibiotic, if you go to a doctor will always tell you that take antacids. They will give you some antacid because antibiotics have a side effect. So you always have to take antacid so that your digestion and your stomach is in order. So it's a combination of medicine which is always given. Same thing with NCERT. If you read NCERT just as NCERTs, which normally people tell us, open NCERT and read. NCERT's language is so rich and so deep that if you are a beginner, or even if you are good in the subject, if you're reading it without the right method of studying, then it is very difficult to grasp the right meaning. You will feel that you have understood, but when it comes to answering questions, you will realize that you're not able to use it. So NCERT is that antibiotic which requires some kind of antacid which is your current affairs, which is help of other topics, economic survey and budget. These have to be studied together. Otherwise, understanding NCERT can be extremely challenging. For example, if you read this NCERT says India was a closed economy, right? After independence, it says India was a closed economy. Now, if you literally look at it, India was never a closed economy, because closed economy would mean an economy which never exports, which never imports. But it is not possible in this world that you can have everything on your own. But then why does NCERT say we are a closed economy? For that, you have to study and you have to see the economic history, and you have to understand that by closed economy, it means that largely we were not very forthcoming in terms of export and import. We were largely restricted in our approach, more conservative in our approach. That's why they have used the term. But if somebody says, okay, I'll criticize NCERT because they have used the word closed economy, no, you can't criticize because the context is different. So that is why if you read a book like NCERT, certain context is required. If you study it in combination of that, perfect recipe for getting good marks in the exam. But is NCERT enough? No. NCERT is not enough. So we have to supplement it with other areas also. Chalo, let me talk about something interesting which I want to show you. And this will give you an idea about what is our approach that we adopt when we study module. What exactly do we do in our course? And whether you are a part of the course or not, that's not important. What is important is how to approach a particular topic in economics. That is the most important part. So let me tell you how to approach a particular theme in economy, which is an important theme, and it was in the news. Earlier, I wanted to teach you something else, by the way. Till yesterday, I had other plans. But then this news came in front, and then all of a sudden, the media was going crazy over the statement. So I thought, let me take this topic. So let me show you very briefly and in a very sort of precise manner about the fact that if you're preparing economy using, let's say, a theme like industry, what should be your approach? What all should you prepare? Which I call as micro themes. This will give you a great idea. Once we are done with this small lecture, which I'm going to provide you. So normally in our classes, we study things like industry, etc. in 3-4 lectures. But I'm going to teach you this in next 45 minutes or 40 minutes. I'll give you an overview of everything in industries. Based on the overview, we will solve all the PYQs which have been asked from industry. By PYQs, I mean first MCQs, and then I will show you the mains question. So that you yourself will see that is it possible that if we are very precise in preparation and if we follow a certain path, are we able to answer questions or not? This is what I want to tell you, that if you follow a certain path where some essentials are taken care of, 100% it is possible that you'll do well. मैं दिखाता हूँ कैसे. See. So for example, बच्चों, let's say that this is your main topic, which is industry. Now, in industry, what I have done is I have taken some micro themes. Now, what are the things that we need to do in industry? I'm just going to show you how to prepare any topic. So instead of industry, if the word is taxation, I'll do the same. So let me show you about industry. Listen to it very carefully about the things that are going to come. The first thing. Yes, the first thing. It will definitely give you good ideas. And mind you, I'm giving you a challenge. To my online kids and offline, I'm giving you a challenge that in next 40-45 minutes, we are going to study entire industry, the basics of it, the most important part. Then I'm going to throw all the MCQs and mains, and let me see how many questions you can solve. Okay, let's see. So be attentive, be careful. It's a challenge which goes out to all of you. Now see, the first part is, whenever you study a topic, the first thing from your side should be, what is the meaning of that? So if anybody asks you what is industry and why is it important to know the definition, I'll tell you. If you read NCERT, you would have definitely studied something called as agriculture, industry, and services. These are the 3 sectors of the economy: primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. So for example, if somebody will ask you what is included in the industry, some examples. So we know the examples. Example, let's say in terms of meaning. So what is the content? What is industry? So first thing is manufacturing. We know that when you convert tomatoes into tomato ketchup, that's manufacturing. So manufacturing is one part. Second, electricity, gas, and water supply, which is called as public utilities. That is also a part of industries. So similarly, you can look at the components. Construction is also a part of industry. So what are you going to look? You are going to look at the components of the industry. This is the first thing. Is it important to know the components? Let me show you why it is important. You'll be so happy to see. See? UPSC 2025 prelims. Let's read. So question says, match the following, or which of the following are correctly matched? Obviously basics from NCERT. So you need to know the definition. What is primary? What is secondary? Secondary means industries. What is primary? What is secondary? What is tertiary? There you go. Weaving clothes, secondary. So which means that if I'm reading agriculture, I should know that where is agriculture placed? Where is service placed? Any word that you prepare, you should know where it is placed. This comes from NCERT. See the relevance? Question MCQ, huh? Let's go back. Let's look at the second one. So the first thing is definition. Now there is the word called as context. What is the meaning of context? Context means background. So I'm quickly going to show you that what is the background of industries in India, and this is going to blow your mind because you will see the relevance of that context in today's news. See what Prime Minister has said. When? August 22nd. The Prime Minister has made a statement. Mind you, it's a very political statement. So I suggest not to use it in the exam, because when you prepare for UPSC, you should avoid bringing political statements, etc., because you don't know which side it will go. So you have to be a little careful. Now see, but for reference, we can read the news. It says, PM Modi said the country has moved from production-linked punishment. Okay. That's a new acronym. They have created PLP, Production-Linked Punishment, where companies were penalized for producing more by license Raj, to a regime where high production is incentivized through schemes such as PLI, Production-Linked Incentive. So the Prime Minister made a statement that India has moved from PLP to PLI. And a word has been mentioned by the Prime Minister, which is license Raj. Now, license Raj is clearly mentioned in Indian Economic Development Standard 11th NCERT. There is a whole chapter which talks about it. So very relevant for next year's exam. Now let me show you what is the connection between this context, because when you study meaning, after that you have studied the background. What is the background of industry? Look carefully, bacho. 1947 we got independence. See how quickly you can understand. 1947 you got independence. After independence, the biggest problem we faced was food security, which means that what are we going to promote after it? Agriculture, because India needs food. People are dying because of lack of food. So this is important. Now, after agriculture, the government of India wanted to promote industry. Which industries were promoted? Heavy industries. And who was creating heavy industries in India? Industries related to iron, steel, cement, electricity, water supply. Who was creating all that? Government. GOI means Government of India. Which industries? Public sector, enterprise. Now, how was the government treating the private sector? License Raj. Government used to tell the private sector that, see, if you want to create something in India, there is a limit up to which you can produce. There is a limit up to which you can become powerful, because if you become too powerful, then there is a problem that the balance in the society and the country might go in your favor. We might go more towards capitalist system, which we don't want. So that is the reason that government put some restrictions over them. Now, what happened is, when you restrict somebody over a period of time, their growth is dented. The growth did not happen. Public sector was doing very well in India. In 1960s, 70s, they used to do very well. So if you ask me that, were our policies after independence for 20 years, 15 years, were they good policy? Given the context of independence, they were decent, good policies. Now what happened was, the problem that happened was that we were not promoting a lot of private companies. If private would have also come, because we are a mixed economy, a good competitive spirit would have arisen between government and private, and the system would have survived slightly better. But if you ask me, unbiased opinion that, promoting government industry was a bad idea or good idea, I would say, given the context, it was a good idea. But at the same time, this could also have been promoted, which we did not do to the extent that was required. So now what happens is, too many public sector enterprises, but management was not being done in an efficient and professional manner. Here, the growth was dented and it was somewhere restricted. So because of that, what happened is, this also could not grow, and downfall of public sector enterprise happened in India after 1970s. Problems started because too many PSCs were there. So now what happened is, we were creating a very good base for industries through PSC, but because of slight fault in our policies, what happened is, the industrial base which we started to create, this we could not capitalize. And the people, the skilled people who were working in government and who were working in private sector, what they started to do was, for example, Mr. Narayan Murthy, 1981, establishment of Infosys. What they started to do from here was, the people who were capable, etc., they moved and they said, let us start services. And there was a lot of movement of talent. The people who got into services, they created the great Indian middle class. So which means this became very strong. The base of the industry was created, but we could not capitalize. And over a period of time, what happened is industry became weak, and this portion became almost like a gap. I'm not saying there was no industry, but then it was not very dominant. Now I want to ask you a question. Suppose somebody is in the field of agriculture. They want to move to the next best thing. In the ladder of success, they want to succeed, go to something else. There is hardly any industry. Only a few states had industries. So if I'm the son or daughter of a farmer, I'm looking for an opportunity in industry, because with medium and low skill, I can enter industry. I can enter the workforce. But where is the industry? So what happened is there is a huge chunk of population who remained here. Land fragmentation happened because now this population depends on land. And that is the reason that today almost 89.4% of India's farmers are small and marginal farmers, which means the plot size has become really small because too many people are burdening the land. Number two, disguised unemployment is also there. And what is on this side? This is the great Indian middle class. Now there is a gap. So if I'm a son or daughter of a farmer, I want to move from here to here, I can, but very challenging and difficult, given the fact that education and skill are also a challenge. So what will happen in India because of this gap? Because of this gap, poverty, unemployment, inequality. And what is this gap? Industries. This is the context. So which means any government which comes to power, which wants to increase India's growth story and improve the growth story of India, they have to work on industries. They have to make sure that agriculture and services are still doing well. We can't let down our services, we can't let down our agriculture, but we have to make sure that industries are also given more support. This is something which we have to do. So did it start in India? Yeah, it started. That brings us to the third point. See, what is the sequence we are following? First, we did meaning. Second, we did context, right? And as I told you, today I'm just giving you a summarized version so that you know what you have to study. This is a method of study. Third is the issues. We already did the issue. Unemployment, inequality and poverty, plus land fragmentation and disguised unemployment in agriculture. These are the issues. So see the sequence we are following. Once you do the issue, then you have to do the solution. Now, how do you bring the solution? This part you have to be very careful in terms of industries. Let me show you. So the first thing that the government has to do, government has to make sure that manufacturing sector does well. What is the meaning of manufacturing? Raw material converted into finished products. If India remains the seller of raw material, how can India generate jobs? How can we increase our export? So first thing we have to do is convert raw material into finished products, manufacturing. Now, do we only need large industries in India? No. We need large industries, but people who have less capital, people who cannot start very big industries, we also need to support them to start something called MSMEs. So first we need to focus on MSMEs. Large industries are anyway surviving. So first manufacturing, second MSMEs. Third, you are the young generation of India. You are the Gen Zs. So does government of India need to support you also? If you want to contribute in nation building through business, yes. How does the government support you? By supporting startups. Why? Because startups are supposed to bring more technology, better technology, domestic research and innovation. This is the third method that government should adopt. So typically if UPSC will ask you that whatever gap has been created here, how to fill the gap, what will you say? You will say promote manufacturing. Then you will say promote MSME and promote startup. Three things you will say. So Bacho, I want to ask you a question. I know it will sound very funny at this moment, but I want to ask you a question. If you are a UPSC paper setter, would you be interested in asking question related to how government is promoting this, this and this? Or do you feel not important? Let me show you. So I told you how to fill the gap with these three. Let me show you what UPSC has done. Let's read. UPSC 2023 GS paper 3 mains. Let's read the question. Faster economic growth requires increased share of manufacturing. Okay, manufacturing. Then it says particularly MSMEs. Oh, two things asked in the same question. Comment on the present policies of the government in this regard. There you go. So they have asked you manufacturing also, they have asked you MSME also. Why? Because that is how you fill the gap, as simple as that. So if we were able to predict the question, doesn't mean that, we are God born and special qualities are nothing like that. It's just that you read in between the lines and try to see what government is doing. Very simple, keep it simple. Now look at the second question, which UPSC has asked. 2026. It says, how are startups in India promoting entrepreneurship, innovation, and employment? There you go. So 3 things we studied, which is missing in India: manufacturing, MSMEs need more support, and startups. All the 3 already asked since 2023. So definitely, there is a method which is there. If you stick to the method, your efficiency will be very good for the exam. I'm not saying that you will get all the questions from there, but your efficiency will be really very decent. So let's go a little back. That's why I thought I should bring more questions for you, so as to show you that it is possible to do well in the exam. Now, how do you promote manufacturing? I'll give you an idea. How to create those one-pagers. I thought I should demonstrate it right here in the class. I'll tell you how to do it. So for example, we are picking these 3. See carefully. These are the 3 conventional things which the government was doing. The first is manufacturing, MSME, and startup. But there is a latest thing which the government has started to do, that is called Industry 4.0. So now I want to ask you a question. If you have to predict UPSC's next question, either next year or next to next year, I told you it's not a rocket science, and I told you that we don't have those godly qualities, etc., which makes us a different human, etc. We are very simple, normal people. But can we predict? I'm not saying anything, I'm just asking, can we predict using this structure? 100% we can. Predict as in, is it a guarantee that a question will come? I don't know. But if we prepare, is there a very high chance that if a question is asked, we'll be able to answer? 100% yes. Because these are the only policies which are being followed, which is Industry 4.0. That shows it. I want to ask you the next question. Wherever industry is there, workers will be there. Who is the most important part of an industry? The one who started and the one who is making the industry work. So the entrepreneur and the worker, both are very important. This takes care of entrepreneur. But where is the worker? Labor reforms. Which means that labor reforms is an essential part of industry. Why? Because the moment labor joins, the first thing that UPSC can ask you, or if I'm a worker and you are an industrialist, I'm coming to your factory, the first thing I would like to ask you is, sir or ma'am, are you going to appoint me on contract basis? Are you going to appoint me on regular permanent basis? What type of employment are you going to provide? What will be my wages and salary? What is the definition of salary? Are you going to give me pensions? If I fall sick, will you take care of me? If I am not very happy with what is happening in the company, where shall I complain? What is the grievance redressal? If I'm a women worker or women labor force, is there a committee or is there a group where gender-related issues can be raised if at all I face any issue? So I want to ask you, if I'm a migrant worker who is from one part of India and I'm working in another part of India, will you give me annual holidays and vacations so that I can travel to my family? These are the questions I will ask. Will you force me to work for more than 8 hours? These are the questions I want to ask, which means without labor laws, without taking care of the workers, society and industry cannot progress. So that is the reason that this labor law, inadvertently, without explicitly anybody mentioning, we know that it is directly connected to industries also, services also, but industries also. That is another part. Now, imagine that you are the finance minister, or you are the Minister of Commerce and Industries in India. There is Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Now, there is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, there is Ministry of MSME, and then there is Finance Minister, then there is Prime Minister. So suppose you are a very senior IAS officer working in either Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of MSME, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and your minister, senior minister, asks you a question that, kid, please tell me, you are a senior IAS officer, what was the performance of Indian industries in last 1 year? How do you find the performance? So what will I do? I'll take a box. I will go to every manufacturing industry of India, which is important, like those who produce textile products, those who produce electronics, medicine, paper, anything which is important. And I will ask them that, hey, please tell me that how many units of the product you produced in 2025. So let's say I'll go to a mobile phone factory and ask them, how many mobile phones you manufactured in 2025? They will say, we manufactured 1 crore mobile phones in India. I will put 1 crore number here. I'll write it on a piece of paper. I'll put it here. And I will say 1 crore mobile manufactured. This is a box for 2025. Then I will go to textile industry and ask them, how many t-shirts you produced? And I'll put it here. How many leather products, shoes, etc. I'll put it here. So I will go to the most relevant industries of India and I will ask them, how many units of product you produce? So I'll go to mining. I will go to electricity, gas. I will go to manufacturing. And I will also go to industries which are doing waste management, industries which are doing recycling, I will go to them also. I'll ask them, how much of product did you recycle? How much did you recreate? All the things I will put here. This gives me the volume of the number of items produced in India in 2025. So suppose that number of items here, number of items is volume, produced is 100 units of everything taken together. I will take the same box for 2026 and I will find out this year how much volume was produced by same industry. So in 2025, suppose that the volume produced was 100 units. In 2026, the volume produced is 116 units. What is the jump? 16%. This is called IIP, Index of Industrial Production. Done. This is Index of Industrial Production. But I want to ask you a question. Does it happen that sometimes when you are in the house, when you are at your home, you see that your mother or somebody in the house is cooking your favorite dish? Something is being cooked, huh? Now, many times it happens that your mother will call you in the kitchen, or she will come out and she will tell you that, can you please taste how it is, so that if there is anything which needs to be changed, I will change it. So suppose that she's baking your favorite, cookies, and she's making you take a small bite of it. She says, taste and tell me. So you'll take a small bite. Why do you take a small bite? So that before the cookie is destroyed because of lack of sugar or because of over baking, corrective measures can be taken. Same thing. If you take all the important industries of India and ask what have you produced in 2025, it takes a lot of time. So sometimes what we do is, before we do this major exercise, so suppose that this is 100 industries of India. So don't go to 100 industries, just go to 1/3 of the industries here, like 32%, 33%, just 1/3 of the industry, and ask them, hey, just tell me, you are the most important industry of India. So tell me how you are producing, how much product you created last year versus this year. So when you don't take the entire box, just take limited number of products and try to see how these products did, how well they did in India. That is called as Index of Core Industries. So if you take the whole box, that is called as IIP. But if you take just a small part of it, which is almost like 1/3, 32 to 33% of the box, and try to find out how they did in the economy, that is called as Index of Core Industries. And you are done. Which means this is called data management. That's your next part of the industries which you must prepare for UPSC: data analysis and data management. These are your themes. Now, I'm going to focus on 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 things which I'm going to show you, that how within 15-20 minutes you can create awesome one-pagers which will help you to literally understand and memorize everything related to schemes which are required in UPSC from this topic. Let's do that exercise and see if it is possible. So, bacho, what did I tell you? First, let's come back. What is the important thing I told you? I told you that India started with agriculture, went to industries, went to services, but then our industries became slightly weak and there is a gap. This gap needs to be filled. So how are we trying to fill the gap? We are trying to fill the gap, for example, through manufacturing. Now see what we are doing. See how interesting it will be. And what is the real method of preparation? So what you do is, you try to find out that what is the first time when majorly a policy was announced by Government of India to promote manufacturing in India. So a major policy was announced by Government of India in the year 2011, which is called as National Manufacturing Policy. What is the core idea? And bacho, whenever you prepare for UPSC, you try to find out that whenever you study a policy or a scheme, what is the most important or core idea related to the scheme? So National Manufacturing Policy, what it did is, it was telling all the states of India that bring land. So states are supposed to bring land, and center said, I will help you to industrialize. So how will you make one-pagers and notes? You will write like this. You will write state government is equal to land, and you will write central government is equal to infrastructure. This is how they were going to create industry. It's simple. Now, next policy after this, 2011 itself, a policy came which is called as Industrial Corridor Golden Quadrilateral. What happened under this? The Government of India said that for many states, bringing large piece of land is not possible. So the Government of India said that I'll do one thing now. Central government said that I will provide road, I will provide railway, I will provide airport and seaport. Center said, I will help in the construction of that. And wherever these facilities are there, road, railway, airport, seaport, there, the center said that with the help of a state government, we can create industrial cluster. What is the meaning of cluster? Group of industries in one place. If 3, 4, 5, 10 industries are located in one geographical area, it is called cluster. So what was the unique part of this industrial corridor? The unique part of policy called as industrial corridor is creation of cluster. Later on, the name of industrial corridor was changed and it became National Industrial Corridor Development Program 2016. This is what we have done. Now, the government of India has realized that wherever road, railway, airport, seaport is there, only in those places cluster can be created, which means if the development of road, railway, airport, seaport is not very good in an area, they'll keep waiting for the cluster. So if we go to northeast of India, Bihar, Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha, many parts of India where these basic infrastructure is taking slightly more time. So those states will never get the benefit of the industries. So what has the government done in this year's budget? The government of India in this year's budget 2026 has launched a program called as Bhavya 2026. What is the government doing in Bhavya? The government of India has started a concept of industrial park, where, for example, they take 25 acres of land, more than 25 or 25, start with 25, 50, 100 acres, it goes up to 1,000 acres. And what does the government do? Government of India creates infrastructure in this area and then invites industries. So we are creating small clusters of industries. So those states which could not get the benefit of the first two, they will definitely get the benefit of third one. This is how they are trying to promote it. Now, what is the next scheme? The next scheme which the government started is in 2014 called as Make in India. Under Make in India, what are we trying to provide? We are trying to provide good governance. Good governance means ease of doing business. And we are trying to create diversity in industries. So what is the government thinking? Government is planning that we should create diverse set of industries in India. And number two, the government says, I will make the life of entrepreneurs easy if they want to register the company, if they want, infrastructure, or God forbid, if anything is wrong, they want to shut down also, we will help. So government is saying, I'll make your life easy. That's Make in India. But even then, despite all these policies, there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that if you see carefully, despite Make in India, etc., there are 2-3 problems in India. Value addition is very low, which means that we are still selling basic products. We are not selling very high-end products. Example, India would sell a lot of pens like this, but India would not export a lot of digital boards. This is the first problem, which means value addition is a problem. Number two, in export, we are not the most dominant country in the world. We also want to create items for export. Domestic production good, but we also want to create export-worthy items. Technology-wise, we are at the low level of technology. We need to improve our technology. There is another problem which is haunting India. For example, we are one of the best country in the world in terms of medicine, but the raw material comes from China. So there are many raw materials which hurt us. And our supply chain of raw material is very weak. To take care of these problems, the government of India launched PLI in 2020. And government said, if any industry is taking care of these things, then I will provide them cash, I'll provide them help so that they are able to get these achievements for India. So government says, I will give you cash so that you can achieve raw material, technology and export for India. This is PLI. But bacho, if you notice all the schemes which you are doing, what is missing in the scheme? There is one thing that if you look carefully, there is no talk of quality. It is there, but explicitly not mentioned. Skill is a problem. Quality is a problem. Environment-friendly industries is a problem. Value addition is a problem, which means there are few things which needs to be addressed even further. So what has the government done? The government of India launched a program called as National Manufacturing Mission in 2025. Budget it was launched. This year in 2026, the mission has been made stronger. What does the mission aim to do? Whatever gaps are there in our previous policies, the gaps will be filled. Example, quality. This is what the government is doing here. They are trying to fill the gap, right? Yeah. So, National Manufacturing Mission. Now, look carefully, bacho. What are the policies that we did? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you look very carefully in all this, you'll find something interesting. This is the style of one pager. Obviously, you can improve this. I'm just demonstrating a simple example that how you should be creating your notes. Detailed notes, definitely you should have. So that if sometime you forget the details, etc., you can refer to the detailed notes. But every time you cannot open your detailed notes for revision because sometimes time is a big factor for you. So for quick revision, etc., so that you are not forgetting the important schemes and policy, you should have these kind of running notes also. But देखो what is so special about these running notes? Keywords. Anywhere where we wrote the policy or the scheme, it is followed by a keyword. 1 keyword, 2 keywords, 3 keywords. That is the most important part. So if I were you and I would create this, how would it benefit me? I'll tell you. Today I have a test, prelims or mains, any test. And I have to discuss or maybe in the exam they will ask me schemes related to manufacturing. That is the test I have to appear, where I know that manufacturing can be asked. How will I revise in 30 seconds? See, I will open this sheet and I'll see, okay, the first policy is related to center and state cooperation. Second policy, we give infrastructure plus cluster is created. Third policy, industrial park is the keyword. Fourth policy, good governance, ease of doing business, etc. Then fifth policy is PLI, which promotes value addition, export and technology. Sixth policy fills the gap. Done. Over. Which means that I'm not saying that you will get a PhD level knowledge where you can win a Nobel Prize by studying like this. But the idea is not to win the Nobel Prize here. The idea is to crack the exam. For this is good enough. Our objective should be clear, that what do we want out of what we are doing. So if you are doing this to crack the exam, good enough. If you are doing this to do an original research in the field of economics, not good enough. But our target was never that. So one should be very pragmatic about what our targets are. This was one example. Can I show you another example? I'll show you quickly 2-3 examples so that you get a very good idea. So let me show you the examples of MSME and let me ask you some questions. MSME. So Vacho, imagine you are an IAS officer and Government of India calls you and tells you that, hey, let us support the MSMEs of India through cash. So government says that let's give cash to MSMEs. So Vacho, I will come in front of you and I'll tell you that, sir, ma'am, I'm MSME. Can you provide me cash? Will you directly give me cash without asking any question? No, you will ask a question. What will you ask? Identity, card. That what is the proof you are MSME? Matlab you are asking for identity. So how do I make sure that I have an identity? So Government of India has started Udyam portal to give registration of MSMEs. That's the first thing. Second question to you. Bacho, suppose I'm already MSME. Now, you are the Government of India and you want to help me out. So whenever you want to help me out initially, will you provide me 30-40 crore rupees directly and say, go and use the money? Or first you will provide me limited sum of money and you will say that go, function, operate, do well, and show me that you can run your company. I will give you more money for technology. So first you will give more money, less money, less money. So for example, you will give me limited funds under scheme called as Mudra Yojana. So what are you going to give? You will give me less funds. And what is the fund? You will give me up to 20 lakh rupees. But why are you giving me 20 lakh rupees through Mudra Yojana? You are giving 20 lakh rupees through Mudra Yojana so that I can do my daily operations. Day-to-day functioning, buying raw material, paying electricity bill. This day-to-day operations is called as OPEX. Operational expenditure. That's the technical word, right? Now, if Government of India gives me 10 lakhs, 20 lakh rupees for day-to-day expenditure, do I need to go to a money lender? No. Private money lender. Why will I go? The government is helping me. So which means that I can become a part of formal financial system, which is banking system. It's good for me. This is Mudra Yojana. Third thing, if government is giving me so much cash and government is also giving me registration, don't you feel that I should also improve my quality? So now Government of India says, if you improve your quality, if you do innovation, Government of India will give me a tag called as champions. So who are the champions? Who gets a certificate of champion from government? Those who improve quality and those who innovate. They get the tag of champion from Government of India. After champion. Now, bacho, imagine that this is a story which is good, but there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that suppose I am the MSME who wants to grow in global market. And in global market, I want my presence so that my product can be sold. And I want a brand. I want somebody to back me up by saying, hey, it's a good company. Please see the product of this company. So which means I need international exposure. I also want to use more of renewable energy in my factory. There are certain wastes in my factory which are called byproducts, which I don't want to throw. I want to reuse them. But I don't have the technology. Who will help me? Somebody with international experience. So Government of India has become partner with World Bank to start a scheme called as RAMP, where GOI, Government of India, plus World Bank are a partner who are helping MSMEs for international exposure, branding, marketing, for waste recycling and management. Which means what are the keywords we will write? Market, brand, circular economy. Circular economy means that whatever is the waste, I will reuse it. And helps me with technology. This is called RAMP. Now there is a problem, bacho. What is the problem? The problem is, think about it. Suppose, bacho, I gave you a pen. I'm the MSME, I sold you the pen. You have to give me 100 rupees. Did you give me 100 rupees? No. What did you do? So, I, for example, this is MSME. What did MSMEs do? MSME sold pen. Who is this guy? This guy is the buyer. Now, the buyer says, I don't have 100 rupees. I'll pay the 100 rupees after 3 months. So MSME says, can you give it to me in writing? A promissory note, bill of exchange. Can you give it to me in writing that you will give this after 3 months? He says, of course, I can give you in writing. So what he does is, he takes a piece of paper like this, and he gives this to the MSME. And it is written over there, for example, that rupees 100 to be given after 3 months. Who takes this piece of paper? This piece of paper by him is given to the MSME. Now MSME will have to wait. So for example, September, October, November. These are the 3 months. At the end of November, this guy will give 100 rupees. But suppose next month MSME needs money because they have to buy raw material. Where will the MSME go? So now MSME is confused. What will I do? Shall I wait? Keep waiting? No. What has government done? RBI done. Now comes your RBI. What has RBI done? RBI has started a platform. Let's say a portal, which is called as TReDS. Trade Receivable Discounting System. What happens on this platform? It's a platform by RBI. RBI keeps an eye. What happens on the platform? This MSME, bacho, look at this MSME. This MSME will take this bill of exchange or promissory note. This promissory note, it will be brought here by the MSME. MSME will say that I want to sell this piece of paper. So who will be the potential buyers of this paper? Financial institutions like banks, NBFCs. What will MSME do? MSME will tell them that I have a piece of paper like this. I want to sell it to you. The value of the piece of paper is 100 rupees. How much would you like to give? So suppose the bank says, I will give you 90 or let's say 85. And NBFC says, I'll give you 90 rupees. So MSME says, done. You give me, you take this piece of paper and give me 90. So how much money will be given to MSME from here? 90 rupees. And how much this guy will have in hand? A property worth 100 rupees. After 3 months, what will happen? This NBFC will take this piece of paper to him and say that you take back your piece of paper and give me 100. So how much money will NBFC get after 3 months? 100. So what is the profit for this NBFC? 10 rupees. And what is the loss for this MSME? 10 rupees. But why did MSME sell the paper in loss? Because it needed quick money. So quick capital. So here, the total value of the paper was 100, but MSME got 90. So this 10 rupees, 10% is called as discounting rate. And the name of the platform is TReDS. What did RBI do? In the year 2015, RBI gave permission to 3 such platforms in India. RBI regulated 3 platforms. One of the platform in India is called as M1 Exchange. Right? What happens on this M1 Exchange? On this M1 Exchange, The MSMEs will bring this invoice or bill of exchange, they will auction it, and some buyer will buy it. So can we say that on this platform, MSMEs get loan? No, loan is not given. They are selling something. Can we say that here MSMEs are being judged? No, we are not judging anybody here. Simply RBI is saying, you are MSME, come and sell your property, get money. Simple. We are not judging anyone. We are not giving any ranks. Let us see what UPSC did. 2026 prelims. Which of the following statement about M1 exchange role in MSME financing are correct? What is M1 exchange? It's a TReDS platform. Now, the first statement says it provides collateral-based loan to MSMEs. No, loans are not provided. You are selling a property or an asset. Second, M1 exchange facilitates discounting of invoices. 100 rupee property sold for 90. M1 exchange functions as credit rating agency. Nobody is rating and nobody is giving us any kind of verdict that we are good or we are bad. This is wrong. So the answer is 2. So can we really answer a very sort of technical question in easy manner without taking too much stress? 100% possible. It is possible. There is only one thing which is required. Hard work. We cannot be lazy. We cannot cut short and we cannot say that I will not study this much because this is too demanding. No. When you go all out, no, you have to give 100%. Anything less than 100% if you give to the preparation, there can be problem. This preparation is very demanding in the sense of devotion, that you have to devote yourself. So even if you are studying for 3 hours, those 3 hours, you have to give your best. You cannot be distracted. And when you study a topic, you have to cover it end to end. That is what I was trying to show you. Let me show you, let me continue. So what did I tell you so far? I told you that, first of all, this is one pager for manufacturing. Same kind of one pager we are trying to create for MSMEs also. So see, what have we created? We created a platform called as TReDS. Now there is something else. Now listen to this very carefully, something interesting. I sold you the pen. You made a promise to me that you will give me the money after 3 months. I waited for you. And after 3 months, I went to you, I said, where is my money? You said, which money? Now you're not honoring your promise. Where will I go? Litigation? It will take me a lot of time because courts are anyway burdened with a lot of cases. So if I go and file a case against you, now it could take a lot of drain me out of energy and time. So what has the government done? Current affairs. Government has introduced something called as MSME Development Amendment Bill 2026. And what has the government said? Government said that whenever somebody does not make the payment to MSME, first of all, to recover the payment, what will be done? Mediation will be done. And mediation should be completed in 90 days. If mediation doesn't work, then arbitration. And arbitration should also be completed in 90 days. So within 6 months, time-bound resolution of MSME-related problems. This is also current affairs. So what are you observing? You must be observing that if you prepare in a certain manner, is there a hope that we can complete the syllabus also? We can maintain the quality also, and we should be able to deliver the answers in the exam also 100%. This is a new thing introduced just now. It is waiting for the president's assent, which means it becomes a potential question for next year. So if you prepare like this in exhaustive manner, no power on this planet can stop you. You will do well. I'm not saying that there is a guarantee of anything. Nobody can do that. But there is a very high probability that even if the paper is easy or difficult, you are the ones who will come out with a smile and say, I did my best. That is what is required in life, to give your best all the time. So this is MSME. So what have you studied so far? See, one pager. One is manufacturing, second is MSME. But do we stop there? No, why should we stop? Because now comes the next, which is the most important part. What has the government done? Government has helped the youngsters by giving a policy called as startup. What is a startup, bacho? So the startup policy in India was started in 2016. So any company in India which was started on or after 2016, they can go to government and say that I want to apply for startup. So if there is a company established in India in 2016 or later than 2016, you are eligible to apply for startup. But the word is startup. That means Government of India is not going to give the certificate of startup to somebody who is a very experienced and old company. So this year, there has been a reform by the government. So, bachcho, see, we have studied 2 things. One is manufacturing. and second is, this is manufacturing, and the second is MSME. And now we are going to study the third pillar, which is called as startup. So what does the government of India do in startup? It's very simple. The government of India says that any company which established after 2016, which means on or after, then you are eligible. What are the two types of startups in India? There are two types of startup. One is deep tech. What are deep techs? Deep techs are those companies which are into some intense research and development. They are intensely into research and development. If you ask them that, where do you spend money? They will say, we spend majority of our money in research. So they are highly research-oriented companies. Now, second is others. So there are two types of startup. The second is others. The registration process is slightly different. So, bacho, imagine that there is a company which was established in, let's say, 2016. This company was established in 2016, and the moment you establish a company, you register your company with Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, what is this company doing? This is the company which is into some high-tech research, very deeply into research, spends a lot of money. The government of India told this company that, see, currently you are spending your money, but in future, if you ever need my help, you please come to me. I will give you a certificate of startup, and I'm going to provide you some financial assistance and some other help. If you ever need help, come back to me. So what does the government of India do? Now the government of India is saying, if you ever need me, please approach DPIIT and file an application so that you can become startup. So this company, which is the deep tech company, suppose decides that from first year itself, I want to take help, or it can also decide later on I'll take help. So what is the duration given to this company from 2016, during which it can approach the government and say, government, I am ready to be a startup, please help. So government says, if you are a deep tech, then how much time is given? 20 years. So which means if the company is established in 2016, it's a deep tech, government of India says, I'm giving you 20 years, which means till 2036. This is the year till which, if this company approaches the government and says, please call me a startup, it is eligible. But if you are not a deep tech, then how many years are given to you? Then only 10 years are given to you. So deep techs get 20 years from the date of registration to be a startup, others get 10 years. This is the new definition. Right. So this is the first part which you should be doing. And the second part is the scheme related to startup. That also you can do. Like, for example, there are schemes, Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. Similarly, so how do you do the schemes? So from here, you start to do the scheme. The first scheme is Fund of Funds. Again, it is Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. This way, you can make a list of schemes which you have to prepare for startups. 2-3 other, like Women Entrepreneurship Platform, especially for women, is there. Then you have a scheme called as Stand Up India Scheme. Stand Up India Scheme is for women, SCs and STs. And these schemes are for everyone. To specifically target those people who are slightly disadvantaged, the government of India has brought the scheme. So, bacho, what are we seeing? We saw 3 pillars so far. What are the 3 pillars we have seen? Manufacturing. The second pillar that we see was MSMEs, and the third pillar that we saw is startups. So, did you understand, first of all, that if you do these schemes and these horrible looking or difficult looking, so as to say, people tell me these kind of adjectives all the time outside the class. So if you feel, these are horrible, trust me, these are not. These are not very difficult things to do if you do it through a story and if you do it in a particular sequence. So these are the 3 things. Before I take the 4th one, I can read some of the messages which some of your friends have written. So very, very nice to see you, Abhishek. Congratulations, first of all. You got into the state services. I know it must be so exhaustive, such an exhaustive journey of yours, because getting a success in these kind of exams is not that easy. So congratulations and a lot of blessings to you and your family on the success. And I hope that more of you come and tell me next year and in the times to come about your success stories as well, and tell me how you achieved your success and how the journey has been for you, because this motivates us also to give our best to you guys, because your success is our success, as simple as that. And if you have any struggles when you prepare for this exam, you should be the first one to approach us and tell us where your struggles are. If we can be of any help, we'll definitely help you out. So definitely, and I invite you whenever you are in town, any of you want to come, please come, you're most welcome. So really happy. So as I was telling you that there is a way you can prepare these things also. Abcha, let me tell you something very different. Then I will talk about how I'll teach in module. Basically, first I want to show you the method of preparation so that whether you are a part of module or not, at least you should know how to prepare. That is more important. I can talk about the module after this, there is no issue. So what are the three things we did? We said that industries are missing. So we completed manufacturing, we completed MSMEs, and we also did little bit of startups. Now, there is something very interesting and contemporary which is happening around us. This I want to share with you. You see, if you divide the history of industries, you can divide the history of industries into 4 parts. Which are the 4 parts? So let me show you. And this becomes important. Here, dekhiye. So for example, if anybody will ask you that what are the stages of industrial revolution? So the first stage of industrial revolution is 1784. What happened in 1784? In 1784, whatever machines we had, whatever industrial setup we had, it used to run on steam power, which means we used to burn the coal, we used to boil water, and through the steam, we used to run machines like steam engines. Then 1870, electricity came. When electricity comes, what happens is your bulky machines become small and your capacity improves. And with electricity, you will see that a lot of new type of machines also got developed and number of industries increased. 1969 is the era of electronics. Electronics and IT, information technology. And what happened after 1969 when electronics and IT came? After that, there was introduction of computers in the world. And if you see the history, economic history and technology history, you will see after 1969, in the next 30 years, what happened? A lot of computers came. And in next 30 years, entire world got computers. But how many years did it take the world to get the computers? 30 years. It took good amount of time, 30 years. Now, what has happened in the present? Something interesting has happened. Currently, the present, which means last 7-8 years, is the era of artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence spread across the world in hardly 5 to 6 years. How much time did computers take? 30 years. How much time did AI take? 5 to 6 years. Unbelievable pace and speed. Which means if something is spreading very fast, its good effect will also spread very fast. Its bad effect will also spread very fast. Challenges will spread very fast. So this present part, which is the AI part, is called Industry 4.0. So if anybody will ask you, what is Industry 4.0? You can tell them that this is the present phase, which started 5-6 years back. That is Industry 4.0. Where we are promoting AI, etc. Abhi, what is AI? In a very layman and simple term, if I have to explain to you what is AI, let me tell you this. I know it will sound very odd and too simplistic, but that's not the issue. The issue is we should be able to break down difficult concepts into simple things so that we are able to answer questions and understand the things. Let me give an example. So, bacho, you have UPSC interview which is coming up. In the interview, you know that there is a UPSC chairman. And you also know that there are other board members who will conduct your interview. So let's say that you got a list of at least 10 people who are going to conduct UPSC interview this year. Now you are a smart kid. What do? You make a list of all the gentlemen who are going to conduct your interview along with UPSC chairman, and you do a thorough research over them by going to internet. You find their social media platform, their achievements, their challenges, how their career has been. You do a research on them actually. Why? Because if you appear in interview, you have no idea which panel will be allotted to you, who will conduct your interview. So all the panel members and board members whose name is there in the government of India, you do a research on them. So that mentally you can expect that when I go to them, what are the kind of things they will ask given their background. So this exercise is done by you. Now, when you enter the interview hall and there you see a certain panel and your mind will tell, yeah, I know them because I have done a research on them. So if they ask you a question, and you know that the panel largely contains intellectual people. That means whenever you give answer, And all of them have suppose written research papers, books, etc. So whenever you give answer, you would expect that they will cross question you and they would ask you for validation of your arguments, because they are intellectuals. So they would ask for logic, they will ask you to substantiate your arguments, they are waiting for examples, case studies, something like that, so that your answers are more rich and not very generic. And if you go wrong, they would like to see how you confess in front of them that, sorry, I don't know this, or I'm not able to recall. They also want to see your reaction when you are not able to give the answer, which means how you react in front of them will largely depend on your research about them, which you have done thoroughly. So your reactions will be mostly balanced because you have done a good research on them. Suppose that before interview, you don't have much time to do the research, so your research is middle level. So when your research is mid-level research, little bit of research only, so you are not very confident if you can face them, but you are largely okay, but not very confident. There also can be a case where you don't have time at all and you only do a research on the chairman, but not the other board members. You'll be very scared. But if chairman comes and takes the interview, you'll be very confident, I have done the research. But so you'll be precise, but your coverage will be slightly less. So it might happen that you can be in trouble, but depends on luck. Same with AI. So if you put a question in front of AI, what AI does is, if the AI is designed in such a manner that it pulls a lot of data from across the world, does the analysis, and then gives you prediction. So I want to ask from the AI that this year, how will be the monsoon? Suppose that AI which I'm using for the analysis of monsoon, this AI is bringing data from a lot of geological events, geographical events, scientific data from across the world, so that it can predict low pressure, high pressure belt, monsoon, moisture in the wind, temperature, pressure, every data is there. It does a thorough analysis, then gives me result based on mathematical modeling. So then I will call this type of AI as large language models, LLM. These are called as large language models because it picks a lot of data and then gives me the result. If it is picking thoda less data from there, then I'll call it as multimodal models. And if it is speaking less data, but is giving me results, but less intensive than this, then small language models. So these are the three models typically. What is India trying to do? India is trying to create its own indigenous model, which is mostly SLM, small language model, which can help us to give decent prediction also. And you know that data collection in India is not very strong. So we need to have more data to use more of LLMs. And if you go to countries like US, etc., they'll use more of LLMs. Now, having known this, I want to ask you certain questions. Let me see if you can answer the question. Question number 1. Government of India knows that AI is the reality. And Government of India wants to promote AI. What do you think will be the first step by Government of India? The first step by Government of India would be to immediately go to school and college and start to train people, or first demonstrate what is AI, what is its importance, make people aware. So awareness and demonstration, or directly enrolling people for AI courses and forcing them. Demonstration. That is precisely what government is doing. So the first thing, always remember, bacho, remember the keyword. The first keyword is demonstration. Second, I'll show you that. Second, after the government has demonstrated, don't you feel that government should identify what are the important tools and skills, what are the areas that should become our priority area in which we should train our youth so that AI can become stronghold of the Indian youth. The second thing is identifying those activities or skills which are required to related to AI so as to train the people. So identification of key areas and then training. This is the second. Third, don't you feel after we have started to train people, we should go to schools and identify the school kids, and from standard 8th or 9th onwards, we should start to train them in AI so as to create future-ready workforce plus provide the right skill to people. These are the three things. Don't you think the fourth thing that India should be doing is not short-term plan, but very long-term plan? That in long term, how can we use AI so that our capacity improves and we are able to use it in the right areas? So what are the keywords that we just discussed? First, awareness. The second is identifying the key areas related to AI. The third thing that we discussed is going to school, and fourth is capacity building. What if I tell you that all these four things which I told you are the four schemes which the Government of India has launched for AI? Look at the four schemes, please. This is your structure for Industry 4.0. See, the name of the first scheme is called as Samarth. Under Samarth, what is the Government of India doing? Creating awareness. What is the government of India doing under Future Skill Prime? Government has identified 10 key areas. This is awareness. 10 key areas to promote AI. For example, AI, for example, let's say Internet of Things, machine learning, all these things we are doing. Then what are we doing? Yuva AI. Under this, we are going to class 8th to 12th, and we are training the school kids related to AI. And then you have IndiaAI Mission, which we are using for capacity building. This is how you should memorize. So see, memorizing schemes and programs are not very difficult if you follow a story approach where you know that what are the keywords and what comes after each scheme that the government has taken. So first comes awareness, then comes identifying key areas, then school, and then capacity building. Now, what is India AI Mission? This I want to tell you. Look carefully, bacho. India AI Mission means capacity building has 7 elements. So these are the 7 elements of capacity building. Now, how to memorize them and how to know which are the 7 elements, I'll tell you through a story. Let me ask you the first question. If Government of India wants to promote AI in the long term, what is the first thing that we should do? The first thing that we should do is pump in a lot of money and advertise, or the first thing that we should do is pump in a lot of money and create infrastructure related to AI research. Infrastructure related to AI research. And that infrastructure is through public-private partnership, through the first pillar called as India AI Commute. What do we do here? We create labs, we create infrastructure using public-private partnership to promote AI-related research. So the keyword is infra. Second, after you create the infrastructure for research, India should decide which model suits us the most. So which means we have to decide between large language model, multimodal models, and small language models. These are the 3 things we have to decide. And what will these models do? These models will pull in a lot of data. Using data, they will use mathematical models and then predict things for us. So this is the model part. The third part is India AI app development. Then using AI, we need to develop the right mobile app for socio-economic progress. For example, we can create a mobile app which is AI based for patients, for registration of patients in hospitals, for farmers, which seeds to plant, how to find the health of the soil. All these data we can store and we can do predictive analysis of the soil health and help the farmers. So this is the socio-economic impact. Why do you need to develop app for socio-economic impact? The next is India AI Future Skill. Name is Future Skill. So bacho, don't you feel that people live in metros have more access to AI? So don't you feel that we should go to tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities and small towns so that we can train the youth related to AI? Yes. So this is the next component, which is India AI Future Skill. What is AI Kosh? Bacho, your AI model, which is large language model, multimodal model, and small language model, the results that they provide, they are as good as the data that they have. If you give them biased data, they will give you biased results. If you give them good quality data, they will give you good quality results. So government says, under AI Kosh, this is the element where government plus non-government agencies provide their data for the AI analysis. Using this, you can create good models, which means without data, you cannot create good AI models. So this is the AI Kosh part. What is the safe and trusted AI? Which means that we need to make sure that safety, cyber security, ethical use of AI, these are the things that we need to promote. And then you have India AI Startup Financing. What is the meaning of India AI Startup Financing? But whenever a company is created, initially you need to hold their hand and support them. That is called as starting a company. And when a company is started, then we need to operate the company, which means day-to-day decisions, etc. And God forbid, if something wrong happens to the company, we have to shut down the company also. So which means that sometimes we have to exit also. So whenever you start, when you operate, or when you exit, somebody should give you a support in the entire lifespan of a company. So whenever you start, you operate, and you end, this lifespan is called as life cycle. So Government of India says, in the entire life cycle of the company, we will provide help. This is the next element. So see, bacho, you just need to see the name of the scheme. If the story is in your mind, you can write the keyword, and this whole scheme you can easily memorize. So if I ask you a question quickly to see if you are able to memorize this or not, so let me ask you a question that in the first phase of development of Industrial Revolution, can you please tell me that what is the most important part which happened in 1784? The most important part is industries were getting power from steam. And after 1784, in 1870, from where did the industries get their power from? Electricity. And then 1969, electronics. And at present, AI. Under AI, what are the 4 schemes which the government has just launched? One is awareness, which is called Samarth. The second is priority areas, training of youth, which is called Future Skill Prime. And then the government of India is promoting AI-related skill development in school, standard 8th onwards, called as UAI. And then government is also promoting capacity building called as IndiaAI Mission. And then we have the IndiaAI Mission ka elements. These are the things that we are doing. Now, having studied all this, see, what did we do? First, we did manufacturing, then we did MSMEs, then startups, and then AI. This completes our analysis. Now, I'll show you how you can answer questions in the exam. Chalo karke dekhte bachcho. Let us do this. Let us try to see if we are able to answer questions. I've got all the PYQs. This is 2016 question. It says, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana is aimed at. We know it is aimed at OPEX, operational expenditure, and providing formal finance. Bring the small entrepreneurs into formal finance. That's your answer. Because you know the keywords. Look at this question. This is current affairs based question, which is definition of MSME, which keeps on changing with time. So this you can answer based on current affairs. Look at this. This we already answered. So this was a question which was asked in 2023, 2016, and this question in 2026. Let us see this question. It is related to startup finance. How do startups get their money? If I want to start a company, I will either arrange my own fund from my pocket. So if I bring my own fund from my pocket, what is that called as? It's called as bootstrapping. Bootstrapping. Or if I don't have funds, I can borrow from a bank. Or I can create a app, or I can create a portal where I can say anybody who wants to voluntarily contribute in my business, and in return, I can't give you anything. I can just give you good wishes. And if my product is ready later on, I can give you some discount. So what will society do? Society will give small contributions in my company. And later on, when I add, it will become a good contribution. That's called crowdfunding. It's a very standard thing which we study in almost every class of startup. So any of you who have ever studied economics with you would know that we used to, yes, you remember, very nice, Jatin, I can see you are writing those, you remember the GPS shoes example which I gave in the class, very nice. So yes, you can easily answer these kind of questions. It's very simple. Now see this question. Which of the following statements with regard to large language models used in machine learning is correct? So let's see the options. LLM assign probabilities to the next possible words and then pick the one with the highest probability. Yeah, because they use a lot of data. So when you use a lot of data, you can do better predictions. So yes, this is correct. LLMs process the data through mathematical optimization to minimize prediction error. Yes, they use mathematical optimizations to remove the errors and to give as good results as possible. So this is the second. LLM produces unbiased output is not possible because if the data is biased, result is biased. Everything that you get is based on data. Biased data, biased result. So this is wrong. This is how you can answer. But where did we see this? Why UPSC asked the question? This is 2026 ka question. Ye padhiye, Economic Survey 2026. Why India is betting on AI small language model over LLM? Oh, it came in Economic Survey. Nice. It's Economic Survey. So this is how you have to answer the question. 2027. Dekho, abhi the edition which I have just got is the new edition. 2027 now will come next year, but abhi wala is already updated. So Bablu, you can use that. It's highly updated. Let me show you the mains question. Mains question dekhiye. This we have already seen. Look at this. Discuss the merits and demerits of labor codes. And the second one is, next question is, discuss the rationale for PLI scheme. Again, a PLI scheme is asked, and this time startup is asked. So it's going to look carefully about how questions are being framed. 2023 MSMEs plus manufacturing. 2024 they asked labor codes, labor laws. Now 2025 they asked PLI. 2026 they asked startup. What is left to ask? Make in India, National Manufacturing Vision, Industry 4.0, and AI and AI related policies. If you prepare all these things nicely. Nobody needs to do any kind of prediction what will come in the exam. We don't even need to say, we can simply smile and say, I am prepared for the exam, because we know what is the maximum they can ask. After that, there's nothing left to ask. So this is actually the way we are going to study. Now, how do I teach in the class in module? There is one formula which I follow. We always start with basics, absolute basics. That, for example, as you would have seen that when I was telling you about the AI models, when we were discussing about industries, even in a very summarized form, we were starting from very basic stories. So we always start with basics. Then we come to technical concepts. Like, for example, I told you that under Mudra Yojana, we give money to MSMEs so that they can buy raw material. So this is basic. Then I told you the technical word. The technical word is called as OPEX. But we don't stop here. In a normal course, we stop here. But we go one step ahead and we say current developments. Anything which has happened in India or across the world which is relevant to us, it is included. So, for example, as you would have seen that when we were discussing about AI, anything which is relevant and new things which have happened, we incorporate that. Unless you do this, your preparation is not complete. And once we do all these three things in our lecture, what we do is we immediately do MCQs followed by answer writing. So every fortnight, every 15 days, this year, we are, last year also same model, but this year what I have done is I have made it slightly more intense in terms of answer writing, because I felt that if some of the answers are ready with you, so what will happen is you will find it easy to write in the exam. And a lot of current affairs has happened. So every 15 days, there will be answer writing session where I will train you how to write answers, all the elements of answer writing. And I'll give you some methods to create your own introductions, body of the answer, conclusion, how to integrate data. All these things we'll do on a fortnightly basis. In the class, I prefer to give dictations and a combination of handouts and dictations. And the dictations are given in the mostly question answer format. Wherever required, more explanation. Wherever required, explanation based on the content. So they are ready to use notes. This is how we study. बस एक बात याद रखिए, always remember that, you know, when you are writing your UPSC, so either there will be 10 marks, 150 word answer, or 15 marks, 250 word answer. ऐसे sheets will be given to you. Either you will have to write answer in 2 sides for 10 marks, 3 sides for 15 marks. Just remember one thing. Whenever you write your answer here, you are not writing answer, you are writing your future and career. So the content that you write has to be top class. No compromise should be made here in the content, because examiner is going to judge you based on what you wrote and not based on what is your potential. So potential has to be converted into actual performance through training. That is the only role. So when you take these kind of sheets, the best should come out of you. That is what I suggest. So now let me see if you have anything to ask. The difference between last year and this year is roughly around in the content. I can tell you a few things like labor codes have completely changed. Direct tax code have completely changed. Inflation has changed. GDP calculations have changed. Startups have been overhauled by the government. So a lot of new things have happened. So I would say the extent of updates that you will have to do is, let's say, 30%. And that 30% is the current affairs. So if you have done your current affairs well, then there is nothing to worry. Otherwise, you'll have to update yourself by approximately 30% because of the new developments which have happened. Ajit, they are different. The reason being, it's a very specialized course. For example, for anyone who feels that economics is a limitation for you and you need extra help in improving your aptitude for the subject, then this is the course for you. And if you feel that without help it is difficult to do economics, then you should join. But if you feel that you can manage it on your own, that should be the strategy you should follow. I don't believe that one should force himself or herself into any course. That's not a good idea. If you feel that help is required, with help you can do well, then only you should come. And if you feel you are managing, then there is no problem. So Abhi, I think all the updates I have already incorporated in the new book, Bablu. So I think you can use it. But 2027 will depend next year when the survey and the budget comes. After that only, let's say next year by April. But this year's is already there. Is it for pre and mains? Yeah, it is for pre and mains. You should never study for only pre or mains. I will show you something because you have asked a very nice question. So let me show you something. Ye dekhiye. Read this, please. It will give you a good idea. See, consider the following statements in respect of digital rupee. This is prelims. Digital rupee, huh? Just last year question. This is 2026 question. What do you mean by digital rupee? Same question in prelims, same in mains. So if anybody tells you that topics for prelims and mains are different, they are not wrong, but they are slightly outdated. Because in economics, now there is no difference between prelims and mains. Integrated preparation is required. So I believe personally, opinions might differ and others' opinion might also be correct. But I believe that preparation should be designed in such a way that there should be no boundary between prelims and mains. Focus should be the concept. Let them ask what they want. You should be ready and say that, throw me any question you want to ask. I am ready for you. That should be the attitude. So, yes, Manupta. In between, whenever I get time, I do it. You can check recently, a lot of videos available. Sorry for deviating. What are you asking? Eco-optional paper one, because the way it is become so simple to understand. Oh, from J5 batch, very nice. Currently, I'm not taking it, but yes, currently I'm teaching for prelims and mains for GS paper. Vajiram GS batch foundation course. There I'm teaching, Anjit, I'm teaching limited chapters only. So whatever chapters I'm teaching there, you'll find the same level. Thank you so much, Vikrant. Yes, from scratch. Otherwise, there is no point in coming to the class. No, if you are not able to study from basic level, then these kind of specialized programs are meant for that only. You start from basic and go to the highest level. So that is why we always start from basic. By profession. Oh, very nice. So good to see you. So one of your friend is saying that he's a chartered accountant, etc. So good to see a professional entering into UPSC. Country will benefit a lot with your specialized knowledge. So even if you are a historian, you are from medical, engineering, CA background, whatever, literature background, you will have a lot of opportunity to contribute in many areas. Yes, Ajit, definitely. I'm also waiting for the lectures to happen. I think very soon it will happen. Don't worry. Industries, we have got a good idea. I'll teach you the first topic I'll teach you there is industries only. So all the best. If you are entering UPSC for the first time, you should follow this kind of approach, the wholesome approach. Nice, very good. Good, you started early preparation. So I suggest that you follow the wholesome approach where if you are studying a certain policy, etc., you should definitely look at the keywords and see the most important part related to the policy. And I showed you through example today that you can memorize huge chunk of schemes, whatever is there, or policies, if you follow the right approach of creating stories, connecting them with practical life, and then asking yourself a question: if I were an officer, what is the approach that I would follow to create policies for India? And you will get your answers, and you will be right most of the time. So the classes that I'm going to start, the classes will be conducted 7:30 a.m. in the morning. It will continue for 3 hours. These days, 3 hours is the class, where let's say almost more than half an hour I spend in interaction. We interact a lot. We do a lot of questions. Remaining time goes in answer, dictation, and everything. So this is how we approach, roughly around 4 months. If more current affairs will happen in between, definitely I'll help you. And every 15 days, every 2 weeks, we have one major answer writing session. And in between the class, almost on everyday basis, we solve MCQs. That is our strategy. You got placed in South Korea. Wonderful. This is so good to say. I hope that South Korea is treating you well. And so good to see your passion for civil services. And well done. I mean, you have done really well. And you are from M22. Good to see you. Very nice to see Some of you who have been my students from previous batches, timing from morning slot to afternoon. Consultancy, the thing is, morning time only will be there for the batch. Afternoon, I'm not planning. Bookstore, whosoever you are, actually, this is not the right way to look at the lectures. The right way to look at the lectures is you split the numbers. How do you split the numbers? So, for example, see the economics part. Economics part would be somewhere around 70, 75. Then you see agriculture part. After agriculture, almost 20 answer writing sessions, and then almost 20 current affairs sessions, something like this. So if you remove the value added part, the addition part, then it will come down to the conventional numbers. But then conventional things don't help us to qualify the exam. So we know the kind of requirements for the exam these days, how intense it has become. So it's totally up to us. What model do we follow for the preparation? Totally up to us. No pressure, nothing. If you feel that you require this kind of intense training from basic to advanced by integrating current affairs, answer writing, you are most welcome. And it will definitely help. As I have shown you that we can tackle the questions in the exam. Very simple. And if you feel that self-study is the best for you, then you should go for self-study. Whatever is your natural instinct, you should follow it for all the subjects, I must say. And at least in Vajiram, we follow this rule that whatever suits you, whether it is self-study or guided program, you should go by that. You should never pressurize yourself. So, because you perform best when you take decisions in a free manner. So, Rohit, definitely, you are welcome. Please, you can come for Vajiram Foundation program, Vajiram modules, whatever suits you. And definitely will guide you. So thank you so much. And it was amazing to see you guys from different backgrounds and from different places. You are attending this session from Korea, as some of you said. Some of my previous students who have succeeded in the exam, state services and UPSC. It's so good to see. And some of the freshers who are going to start the preparation. I'm so happy and so proud of you guys. That you have the courage to make such a choice, that you started the preparation despite being settled in life is so good to see. Okay, very nice, very nice. So study hard, guys, and remember that there is no substitute of hard work. At least for now, the basic trend of UPSC is that shortcuts won't help. Don't shy away from hard work. Sometimes the hard work has to be extreme hard work. Sometimes it has to be a combination of hard work and smart work. Whatever works for you, but just one mantra is there that you have to keep giving your best. Nothing less than the best will survive. That's the important part. Thank you so much. And I hope that you learned the subject well and the subject gives you the confidence to crack the exam with a great rank. Yeah, I believe so. The course has been designed like that. Thank you so much and a lot of blessings to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Do well, huh? Thank you. And oh, it's so good to see you back here. PP, very good to see you. Yes, the admissions are on. So if you decide to take admission, you can contact the office. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thanks. All good?